Strictly Anonymous podcast.
Hi, Heather. Welcome to the Strictly Anonymous podcast. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. I always like to get a couple story from both sides. I talked to your guy, David, already, okay? David came on, and I loved his episode. If people missed it, he talked all about how you guys, the both of you, started your own swinger. It's more like a swinger community, right? It started out as a party, but now it's kind of like a community, right? And what's different?
It really is.
Yeah, and what's interesting about your swinger community, it's called Club Amore, right? Is that it is very open and inclusive, including not just bi guys, which is very something that's not inclusive at most swinger clubs, but you're also inclusive of everybody. I mean, David made a real point to say it's not just, where bi action could go down, but you're really open to everything, correct?
Yes, that's really what kind of makes it unique. Everybody can find their place here.
Right, which I love. And you would think that in that world there would be no stigma, considering that, there's a stigma put on them by vanilla people, you know what I mean? But even in the swinger world, there is a big stigma against guy-on-guy action for some reason. And you guys have changed that. I know that when I aired David's episode, let me tell you, a lot of people were like, oh, I wish I was in the North Carolina area, because that's where you guys are located, right? Your club and everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they wish that there was a place like yours. Eventually, you're going to have to franchise. But let's get to your story, Heather. I talked to your guy. I forget what we talked about because it was so long ago. I tape 2 people a day every day. I'm very busy. I have over 1,000 episodes. But I want to get the story from your side. I mean, how long have you and David been married again? I don't remember.
We're not married yet. We're engaged. But
Okay.
We've been together for, 8.5 years.
Okay. And now first marriage or second marriage, third marriage?
We've both been married before. So we are engaged. So this will be our second marriage.
Right. Okay, cool. Are you guys open and sexually with each other right from the get-go? How does being swingers come into the conversation between the two of you, and when does it happen?
Well, we've both just gotten out of our marriages. We actually met on Tinder. He was the first and only date I ever went on.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? You're one of the lucky
He was supposed
ones.
to be a rebound.
Yeah. You're one of the lucky ones, one and done. I mean, because what I hear on the apps, I mean, it could be like a fucking nightmare, right? Having to date so many guys to meet somebody cool.
No, on the first date, he told me, hey, my ex-wife and I, we tried poly and we're trying swinging, and I just want you to know that that's a part of me. And I was like, whoa.
This is why I like to
Okay.
get the other person's story, right? Because from David, that's his world, but what is that like as a woman, coming from the vanilla world, first date right out of the bat after being married for all this time, the first guy you meet is throwing this on you. It's kind of crazy, no?
Well, I didn't mind a bit because, I was just looking for a fun time, and I was totally ready to enter into my hoe phase anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, great, good. That means he doesn't want commitment because I'm not ready for that anyway.
Oh, okay. So you're just looking for sex, so it didn't really bother you either way. But let me ask you this: were you always super curious about sex, very open, but your husband wasn't? I mean, because it's kind of a big thing for someone to say that they're into all that kind of stuff, because that would be entering a whole new world for you.
Absolutely. As the more time went on and I became more curious and asked more questions, I realized that the appeal to me came because I was always a serial cheater, honestly, in my past relationships.
Oh my God, This is why I got to talk to everybody. Everyone has a story.
Yeah, I had a problem. I would cheat on them. Most of them never found out.
Oh my God.
But it was just because I wanted the variety, and I didn't realize that what it was. I got bored,
Wow, that's really interesting.
So,
I've had other girls on that talked about that have talked about that. So you were a serial cheater, every guy you ever were with, you always cheated on them? Most of them?
Not every single one.
But most of them?
But definitely the ones that lasted longer. The longer it lasted, the more I'd be like, I want something new. And maybe I'd try to spice it up in the bedroom and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I had to work late a couple nights.
Oh my God. Now, did you, I'm assuming you cheated on your husband. Did he ever find out?
He probably knows, but it's not something that he would ever have proof of or that I would ever admit to at this point.
But so you never got caught?
No. Oh, no. I'm very good.
Oh, really?
this makes me sound awful.
No, it
No.
doesn't. It's very honest. Listen, I have cheater stories on all the time because, listen, cheating happens, right? It's very common, unfortunately. Some people who are listening right now judging you, like, oh my God, you fucking cheat, like, might wind up cheating themselves. Sometimes it could happen to somebody. I mean, you happen to be a serial cheater. I think it's always interesting to get into the heads of people that are that are cheaters because people could learn from them, and I love that you're being honest about it. Who cares if it makes you sound bad? It was the truth, and you're not a serial cheater anymore. This is like what you should have been doing the whole time, right?
Yeah, now that we're in the lifestyle, I've never once even been tempted to cheat or
Yeah.
step out without him knowing. It hasn't even crossed my mind.
Yeah, I have a guy that I used to have on my show called Dr. Guy. He was like the last guy I dated before I had my kid. And he was like, I just remember once him trying to fuck me like 5 times in one day when we were together. And I just like looked at him. I'm like, I need help. Like, I don't want to fuck you 5 times. Like, this is not going to work. You know what I mean? Like, I got to farm you out. And he was just one of those guys that was highly sexed up, needed to fuck a lot. He had been married like 3 times, cheated on every wife. He was just not a guy built for monogamy. We stayed friends after, and turns out like he is now with a woman who he met who was as horny as he was, as not interested in being monogamous as he was, and he's like living his best life, and he's in love I think for the first time in his life because he could finally be who he is, and they're just in a very open marriage, and it changed his life. And I told him recently, I'm like, you have to come back on and tell that story because we've talked in the middle of this journey of his, but he eventually wound up like in this relationship in a place where he feels very different because he was like you. He just needed variety, and now that he has it, he's just totally happy and content, and they're engaged to be married, same like you. So I love that kind of story. It's interesting.
Yeah, ethical non-monogamy is the thing that I never knew I was missing in my life, honestly.
Right. You just felt like a serial cheater, like a liar. You know what I mean? Like, on some level, like there's got to be some part of you that always feels like you're doing something wrong and everything. It must feel so much better to be able to be exactly who you are, but not feel bad about it.
Exactly. It's so much more secure for me. I feel safe. I have fun, and it's just so fulfilling.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So he's telling you that, and you're like, oh my God, I've met my dream guy first date because he's like, looking for the variety that you are. Now, what did you guys like? So it was supposed to just be like a one night stand, or just like sex with or like a booty call. Like you weren't looking for anything serious, right? But obviously, it turned into something serious.
Right. It was just a first date. In fact, we didn't even have sex on the first date, even though I tried.
You're so funny, Heather.
But
Right.
it's just one of those things that we were so connected. We were talking every day. We saw each other every chance we could, and it just got real deep, real fast. And I was here for it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, what made it go so deep so fast? Was it just like amazing communication, or you felt like you could be like really honest with him because he was being honest with you? Like what made it so amazing so quickly?
I think it was because where we were at in our lives at the time, we were both coming out of these horrible relationships, and he filled all the buckets that I needed filling, and vice versa. We kind of saved each other. And from there, it just grew into this mutual respect and this deep love because we know exactly where the other person is coming from. And so, when you meet a guy, it's like, oh, eventually all his little past traumas are going to come out. They came out from the get-go, and I knew exactly what he meant. I knew what he was talking about because I'd experienced the same thing. And so it was like an instant bond.
Yeah, I love that trauma bonding.
Yeah, trauma bonding. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard
But
that.
he also just, he can make me laugh like the Dickens. And of course, it helps that he's smoking hot. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, all right. So, how was it the first time you had sex? I know you didn't have sex the first night, but like when you did have sex, was it like super, like great chemistry between the two of you as well?
oh, it was hot and heavy and amazing, all like 6 times.
Oh my God. One time, first time, 6 times?
Yeah, it was a good night.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Wait, so okay, so when does he start? Now, I talked to David. I know that he's into guys, right? And he hooks up with guys. Like, did that come up in conversations while, like, in the beginning of your relationship or later on, where he told you
No,
that part of
not
himself?
right in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay.
It was sometime in that first year, I can't remember how many months in, sometime in that first year, he would tell me, that his wife used to make fun of him and call him like a fag and all this stuff. And it was because he had, quote unquote, experimented with guys before. And he had told me about his childhood and how, I was just thinking, well, all kids do that at some point, right? I mean, I went to a women's college. We were all lesbian until graduation.
Right.
So, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, maybe it was a phase, but even if he is bi, I don't care, But when he got more serious about it, I definitely supported him because, first of all, I have no problem with it. And second of all, I think it's hot as fuck. So.
Yeah, I love that. And listen, were you one
yeah.
of those girls that knew that you thought it was hot as fuck, or are you one of those girls that didn't realize that you liked it until you saw it? Because I've talked to both kinds.
Gay porn has been my go-to for years.
Oh, you're one of those. I've heard of those girls. Maybe I should try looking at gay porn. I never have. But I know I've
heard. The more
heard.
penises, the better.
Yeah, I think that's very hetero of you, right? I never thought of that. I don't know, but I've heard that before. So you were always into gay porn. Is that crazy? You guys were meant to be together.
Oh, I love it. And I'm, 85, 90% straight,
Yeah.
So I like penis most of the time, more than anything else.
Yeah, obviously, because that's why you were on gay porn. You wanted more, the more penises, the better in the one video.
Yeah.
A lot of girls are watching lesbian porn, right? Isn't that what they say? Most of the time. So yeah, I think that's super interesting. So when he kind of came out, you're not only fine with it, you're like, oh, was it a turn on thinking that you're going to get to experience this live?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? And, he was really nervous. It took a lot for him to do anything in front of me. I don't know if he told you, but we had a big falling out at one point because I went away for a trip and he used that week to play with men without me knowing. And at the time, that was sort of against the boundaries that we had set.
Yeah.
So that caused, an issue for a while.
Right, because you wanted to be there.
Well, yeah, but we'd always agree to be honest, and he kind of did it, behind my back. I found out later, so that really hurt,
Of course. And was his reason because he just was still uncomfortable or so nervous about doing it with you that he did it when you weren't there? What was his reason for doing that, considering you guys were so open?
Spot on. He still was internalizing a lot of shame around it, from his ex and just from growing up. These poor men grow up with the stigma, that it's wrong. And so he was dealing with all of that. And while I was trying to be as supportive as I could, I can't make that confidence appear. So it was just going to take time. Yeah. So, we agreed that I didn't need to be present. I just wanted to know about it,
Right, right. But over time, you started to become present.
Oh, he found his confidence. Yes.
Yeah. Now, do you remember that first time, that first experience? And did you get to fuck the guy too? I'm assuming it was like a threesome.
No, the way we got started in actual partying is crazy.
Yeah, tell me.
But the first time I saw him with a man was one of the first parties we ever threw for Amore. And of course, we were just starting out. It was 30 people signed up, but only 8 showed up. And of course, they were all guys. So it turned into a gangbang for Heather.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Was that your first gangbang?
But a lot of the guys were bi. So I got to see that bi play and David got to participate. And it was a great night.
Oh my God, you had gay porn on steroids for you that night. I mean, that was your first experience, seeing it live? That's crazy.
For Amore, we had several lifestyle experiences before we decided to start our own club. But that was one of my first Amore experiences, and it was fantastic.
And that was your first experience of seeing your guy with the guy, right? Is that when it was?
Yes.
That night. Yeah,
yes.
That's pretty major.
Everything I could hope for and more.
Oh my God. But wait, you mentioned right before that story that it's kind of crazy how you just entered into the lifestyle from the beginning. So you want to start there?
Oh my gosh, it's wild. So when we said, okay, let's do this, let's give this lifestyle a shot. We'd already discussed our boundaries, whatever, what we were okay with and what we weren't. So he's like, well, there's this group that's hosting a hotel takeover. You want to go to that? And I was like, sure. And I don't know if you know, are familiar with hotel takeovers, but it's a couple hundred people. It's pretty loud. It's a lot of anonymous sex. You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
They have a room with a Sybian. They have a masseuse in one room. They have a mistress whipping people in another room. You know, there's so much to see, so much to do. And so they're giving us a tour. And remember, this is my first time ever doing anything lifestyle.
Yeah, crazy.
They're giving us a tour, and I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, oh, I want to try that. Oh, I want to try that. Oh, I can't wait to go into that room.
David hit the
So he's
jackpot with
following me
you.
around all night. You know, we're just doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It was crazy. We picked the 3 couples that we were the most attracted to and hauled them upstairs and had a great old time until like 4 a.m.
So 3 couples and you guys. So like, what is that? Like an eightsome? Like 4 couples all hooking up together in the room, or separate times with all of them?
Wild. Limbs everywhere, body parts everywhere. Someone whipped out a vibrator. It was wonderful. Like I woke up the next day and was like, whoa, what did we do?
Oh my God. And so was it a free for all? I mean, did you guys have any rules or regulations going in, or did those all fly out the window, or were there none of them rules to begin with?
We were definitely flying by the seat of our pants. I mean, we had some basic rules that nobody would sneak off into a corner by themselves. You know,
Yeah.
we'd always stay together, all of that.
Mhm.
But we woke up the next day and we were like, that was wild. And, you know, we talked about it for a while and we're like, you know what? Most people start out with a threesome, right? And we totally skipped all that. So
Yeah, you were
So
like
he
at an orgy.
says, okay. Yeah, he's like, let's do a threesome. So we found a guy on one of the sites and we invited him over, and he was younger, in his 20s. I ended up calling him Puppy just because, well, he's just was like a little puppy.
Yeah.
But we're chatting, we're having fun, and we're like, you know, you want to get in the hot tub? So he's like, yeah. So we start taking our clothes off, and he is, and all of a sudden he stops and he's like, do you mind if I take my leg off?
Oh.
And
No
I was
warning?
like, no warning, no idea.
Yeah.
No, sure, that's fine. Do you need help? He was amputated below the knee.
Wow.
So, you know, we kind of helped him into the hot tub and we were talking, and we did end up playing with him that night. It was okay. You know, he could do most things. It was all right.
That's interesting.
But it was crazy. And so after that, we're like, okay, that was weird, but let's try again. Let's do another threesome. This time, you know what? Fuck it. Let's have a girl. So we find a girl on another website, and then this time we meet her out at a bar, you know, to make her feel safe and all that. So we're chatting her up, and we like her. So we're like, do you want to come back to our place, you know, have a drink, get in the hot tub? So she comes home with us, and after a while, we're like, okay, yeah, you want to get in the hot tub? So we start taking our clothes off, and she stops and she says, I shit you not, do you mind if I take my leg off?
No way. You're kidding
Yes
me.
way. I could make this up if I tried.
Nobody,
And-
most of the time, would have that happen to them once in their lifetime, let alone twice in their lifetime, let alone twice in their lifetime, one after the other. It's too crazy.
Back to back,
Yeah.
totally different
You're
website.
crazy.
So we're like, oh, okay, sure. Except this time she was amputated like way up, like by her groin. So, and she was
Wow.
kind of a bigger girl. So we had to really help her into the hot tub, you know.
Yeah.
And we're talking and everything. And, you know, there were some red flags, but we decided to go play anyway. And she turned out to be a biter.
Oh, no.
At one point, David's lip was extended like 3 inches from his face from her biting it. And he's like, whoa, you gotta stop, you know.
Yeah.
She actually bit my clit so hard that I bled.
Oh, you're kidding.
And had to ask her to leave. It was an awful experience. And that was my first full-on experience with a woman. Maybe that's why I'm 90% straight now. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
but-
pretty traumatizing.
Yeah. And so we're checking our profiles and like, did we check a box somewhere? Is there a fetish for amputees that we missed? What's going on?
No, it's really, yeah, seriously. Like, what was going on? Did you have some weird kink that you pressed by accident? Because how does that
It was
happen?
so weird.
And neither one of them told you up front, obviously. Like, I'm surprised.
No. And so for like months after that, we're like, we're going to need to see full body picture. Do you have all your limbs? Are you psycho?
What a weird question that people would be like, why you ask me if I have all my limbs? But because of your
I mean, we don't have
experience,
anything against amputees, but it's just really
obviously.
weird.
Oh my God, that is a crazy first two stories. But so, like, after that experience, have you been with women since, and has it been okay? I mean, I know you're like 90, 85, 90%, into guys, but do you like if it's the right woman and she's not biting your clit, are you down?
Yeah, it took me a long time after that to
Yeah.
even feel any attraction for a woman because
Mm-hmm.
I could always admire a hot body,
Yeah.
But yeah, it did take me a while. But now I kind of go in cycles. Like right now, actually, I'm in kind of a bi cycle where I'm feeling the women and I'm talking to a couple women and I've had a couple experiences. But honestly, a lot of it comes down to my confidence. I know what I'm doing around a dick. I
Oh,
don't
interesting.
really know what I'm doing around a pussy, and I want to be good at it. And so it's a little overwhelming to me.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. But will you be a pillow princess and let like a woman go down on you? You're down for that?
Oh, any day of the week. I don't care whose mouth
Right.
it is.
Right. So wait, so you go to that hotel takeover and have the crazy experience, and you have all these threesomes. What comes next?
I think we backed off a little bit and just started going to smaller events. We went to like some poly meetup at someone's house where they were playing games and stuff. And that's when we knew poly wasn't for us because all we heard was all about the drama with other people.
Oh my God, polygoo gives my head it gives me a headache. Very rare. I've had a lot of people on my show that have been poly, and very rare is it done the very right way, and when it is done the right way, it's super impressive, I have to say. But when it's not done the right way, it gives me a fucking headache because
Oh, everyone
it's
I
a
know,
lot.
I don't know what you call a successful poly relationship, but
There's a
no one I
couple
know
out
has
there.
lasted beyond like 2 years.
There's a woman actually who has like a show on like TLC, and she was on my show, and she really is the real deal. Like, I just really admire her. I could never be her. I will never in this lifetime get to the place where she is, but she really is like what Polly stands for purely. You know what I mean? In the most positive way. Whereas most people that I've talked to that are trying poly are doing it for all these reasons that have nothing to do with poly. That's what I feel like it comes down to eventually. You know what I mean? It's like very dysfunctional.
Hmm.
But no, there's definitely, I've talked to some people that do it successfully, but it's not it's hard. I think it's very hard to navigate.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do it. I don't have, I barely can handle just, being a mom to one dude, let alone a few.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so poly's not for you, but you both are total like you're digging this whole lifestyle thing, right? Like you were like a natural right from the get go, correct?
Yes, and it did become a little bit of an issue down the line because I was obviously very active and I got a lot of attention, and women always get more attention than guys in this lifestyle anyway. But David is a little more cerebral, he needs that connection, whereas, I can just be like, come on, let's go.
You guys,
But he
you're
needs
like
that
the guy.
connection.
Wait,
So
you're like the guy in the relationship. He's like the girl.
I really am. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, it's just sex to me. I don't care. I don't need to
yeah,
be your best friend.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So where was
But
the
so I
problem?
had a lot of, yeah, I had a lot of action, and he didn't, and he wasn't getting what he needed out of it. And we were doing a lot of threesomes or groups with men. And he was like, I am bi. It doesn't mean I only want other cock. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so right. So I
Oh,
had to reconcile, his desire for more women with what I was feeling, whether or not I was bi at the time, if I was feeling women at the time. And so that was hard for us to navigate. He'd find a woman he was interested in and I wouldn't be interested, or we'd find a couple, but couples are so lopsided sometimes. There's like the hot one and then there's the weird one.
oh no, I
And
know. It's
the
very
stuff,
hard. This is why
right?
people wind up playing solo eventually, because getting together with couples and being on the same page where everybody is into everybody is a very hard thing. It's like all the stars typically don't align.
Right. And we tossed around the idea of playing solo when it seemed like, oh my gosh, we're never going to find our match.
Yeah.
but we always toss that idea right out the window because at the end of the day, we're doing this life together and we don't want to separate that way.
Yeah.
So it took a while, but over the last year, I would say we've really sort of started to find our groove and I can't believe it's been 8.5 years and we're just now finding it. So people think we're like experts at lifestyle, but we're not, you know?
No, but I love that you're experts now. But talk a little bit because I think it's important because I know that like a lot of people nowadays listen to podcasts to learn, and I think that real stuff, the bumpy stuff, the stuff that isn't so perfect along the way is always super helpful for people to hear, especially because you're on the other side of it, right? And you have been successful and you made it through sort of trying to navigate stuff that was a little tricky. Like how did you get to the point where you would take it for the team when he wanted to be with a girl and you did it and stuff? Like how did you deal with those kinds of situations?
I used to take it for the team all the time just because I was so excited to get some strange. It really didn't matter.
Some strange. I you're so funny.
But I was also faking orgasms for a long time, which really sucked. And I shouldn't have to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm on this, I was on this journey of I'm going to find my voice. I'm going to tell them what I want, how I want it. And it's going to be, good, meaningful sex instead of just random, numbers or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think it's great. And I got really confident in doing that with men. So that's what I sought out. And of course, David's he's going along with the journey because he's really happy for me. But I did not recognize that he needed more.
Yeah.
He really needed to balance, both sides of his sexuality. So I really had to take a step back and examine myself. And at the time I was not feeling women at all. And so, we said, okay, let's find couples that are straight, because the couples, he wants the female half anyway, because he gets his fair share of guys with me. So we find a straight couple. And, it's actually kind of hard to find a straight couple because all the women are expected to play with each other. And B, every straight couple we found, just there was one partner that didn't click for us.
Right.
And it was really hard. And I just thought our standards were too high and that we needed to just broaden our horizons. But David's like, no, we'll push through. You know what? Let's just stop searching. We'll take a little break. And lo and behold, like a month later, we found this amazing couple. So I think maybe we were trying too hard.
No, I think it's just timing. I think you got to keep trying until you do meet the one. I think, listen, it was like you were about to give up, and David's like, and look, and because you didn't, you met that one. That's how it always works out. I think I think it's a numbers game, and most of the time the stars don't align. Like I said, I hear it all the time with the couples. It's like you said, it's a lot of times like one person's interested, the other isn't. You're talking about 4 people. Everyone has to be into everyone. I mean, that's what are the odds? So what was the couple like that you met that you clicked with, and what went down with them the first time you hooked up?
I mean, for us, it was maybe a little bit awkward just because we didn't have a whole lot. We didn't have experience with couples other than that first wild hotel takeover, which, did not involve a lot of negotiation beforehand.
Yeah, that was like an orgy. That wasn't like a swap, a hard swap. That was just like a group sex, It's very different than when you're just with the couple alone in a room, you're right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what worked for us, what finally made it click, was that we spent a good amount of time chatting with this couple online and having meetups outside, like just going to the bar, have a few drinks. And of course, we'd hung out at parties. And so when we finally made a date for them to come over and we were going to do this thing, we'd already established that level of familiarity and comfort. So It was so much easier. So much easier.
Now, when you say you were looking for a straight couple, meaning like you're not going to hook up with the woman, right? And the guys aren't going to hook up. I mean, this is just going to be like a full swap scenario?
Yes, that's the idea.
Uh-huh.
Of course, when I get a few drinks in me, I may touch some boobies. I don't know.
Well, what happened that first night? Do you remember your first experience with them?
Yeah, it was fun. They came over, we had some drinks, we got in the hot tub. And that's the wonderful thing. I told David, there are 2 things you can't do or else I'm gone. You can't cut your hair and we can't get rid of the hot tub.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's a part of every story. Every one of your stories starts with like, we got in the hot tub.
It's a great icebreaker,
Of
I'm telling
course.
you, because I
Yeah.
don't think that hot tub's seen a stitch of clothing in its entire life.
Yeah. Oh my God. And you have it in a way that your neighbors can't see. Like it's easily hidden, right?
Oh,
Typically.
complete privacy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. We've got a
Mhm.
really tall fence, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So you're in with the couple. What are they like? Like, what's your, like, what, what kind of guys are you into and what kind of women is he into?
Well, they're what you would call, a typical hot couple.
Yeah.
Beautiful bodies, in shape, good looking, very, very lovely faces, just beautiful couple all around.
Right.
And so and I actually thought they were a little out of our league. I was like, oh man, we're aiming high here. But they were so down to earth and just so sexy. I mean, things always start happening in the hot tub. You don't know where hands are under the water, people moving closer to each other, and things just kind of evolve from there. So it was a lot of fun. And actually, what really helped was that the guys kind of helped us out, being like, may I do this? Can I do this? And us girls, because it was her first time too, their first time. So we're all just, the blind leading the blind here.
Yeah.
But it
We.
was it was really fun. And while there were a couple awkward moments and we kind of laughed our way through it, it was a great night.
And now, do you enjoy, it's one thing to not get jealous and you're fine with your guy, like being with another woman, but it's another thing, like there's compersion or some people are just like really interested in seeing their partner with somebody else. I mean, do you love seeing him with other women? Or do you
I
just like,
wasn't
is it,
sure
you're
if I
fine with
was
it?
going to love it. Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, for sure. But when it happened, I was just so goddamn proud of him because I knew how nervous he was and how much this meant to him. I was so fucking proud that absolutely I feel compersion for him. I want nothing but awesome experiences for him.
Right. You want his happiness, like him being happy makes you happy.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, isn't that why everyone's got a partner, right? It brings
Well,
you joy.
you would think that's the way it should be, and sometimes it's like people are like on opposite teams. It's like weird when it's not that way because that's the way it should be, and that's the way it is for you guys. So, what about him? Does he love seeing you with guys? Does he have that like kink? Does he have compersion too? How does he feel about
Oh
you?
yeah, he absolutely does. But what makes it hard is when it's not even, when there's not a good balance. So it was hard to feel compersion at times when I was with guys because he wasn't feeling like he was getting what he needed.
Yeah, of
So I
course.
really think that a big part of compersion depends on whether or not everybody is getting their buckets filled. As long as you are in your happy place and they're in their happy place, then everything is great.
Right, but is his happy place seeing you with another guy, or is both of your guys' happy place like kind of like both of you being with other people, like true swingers? I mean, I think that's the difference between people who are into hot wifing compared to people who are swingers. That's what I always say because some people complain. They're like, "Oh, that poor guy, like he doesn't get to fuck other girls." I'm like, he doesn't want to fuck other girls. Sorry, like that's not what he. If he did, they'd be swingers. That's what swingers do. You know what I mean? They couple swap. They have group sex. They go to that kind of a thing. It sounds like you're more like into that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a voyeur. It doesn't fill my bucket just to sit there and watch.
Yeah.
Although I have before and I will, but I wouldn't choose to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, yeah.
If I am having the best time and he's having the best time, that is like the ultimate experience.
Yeah.
But I would still rather him have the best time and me not than the other way around.
Oh, I love that. That's cool. And now, so, obviously this turned into more than just a sexual relationship. You guys are engaged to be married. Eventually somewhere down the line during this journey of your guys in the lifestyle, you decide to start throwing your own parties, correct? And was it because it was like, I don't remember the reason why. Was it because you couldn't, because David couldn't fulfill his fantasies at the clubs you had? Was there no clubs close by? Like, what was the reason you guys started throwing your own parties?
Oh, there was a lot of local options, but honestly, it was that by stigma.
Yeah.
David felt like he couldn't be himself. I thought they were all cliquey and snobby.
Yeah.
And, I felt like a wallflower and an outsider, and that's kind of fucked up,
Yeah.
So we're like, we don't want anyone to feel that way. Fuck it. Let's start our own club. And it did start out a lot of single men joining, but these were bi guys who were rejected, everywhere else. And then, it just took off. Holy cow, we have so many members now.
Yeah, because you're offering something that nobody fucking offers. And you'd think, like, how could that be? I was very surprised to learn about the stigma, with guy and guy action in the swinger world, because it just seems like that would be the one place it would be accepted because they're so open. And please, I hear this all the time. It's not like nobody in those swinger clubs is having guy and guy action. They're just not doing it in public because there's still a stigma. But it's not like none of those guys in there are interested in it. Okay, sorry, that's not true. I have them calling into my show.
Oh no, it exists for sure. It's just hidden because I mean, there's the swinger bias, but it also comes from society bias. It's
of course.
Just, it's still a problem today, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you guys started this whole thing, and how smart to do it, and how weird. Like, if you really think about it, it's like, why wouldn't you offer that? I've never had anybody else on talk about starting this club, or anyone else call in and talk about going to a club that is open like that. So I think it was like, of course you would become like a big hit early on. Like, just word got out, you think, and like people just started to sign up or show up.
Yeah, I mean, we were just like, let's invite our favorite people over and maybe some randoms, open up our house and see who shows up. And it was very crude. We had a fire pit and the hot tub and some beers.
Yeah.
Nobody had food. We ended up ordering pizza because we were starving. And then the next one, we decided a month later, let's try it again. And just more and more people started coming. And then we had to organize it more. And then we had to figure out, okay, people need to bring food. And it just became more and more. And then we hit 50 people in the house. And I'm like, oh, we can't have more than this. Our house is not that big.
Yeah. So then what did you do?
There were wait lists for parties. So we had to create a website. So to manage all of the incoming requests to come to our parties, we just had a Facebook group at first.
Yeah.
But then, we had a Kick chat. And I don't know if you ever used Kick before, but it's a fucking piece of shit app, right?
Yeah, I never have, but it's like, it's very, like, a lot of people use it in that world because like shit disappears or something. Like, what's the reason to use Kick if it's such a piece of garbage app?
It's completely anonymous.
Oh, okay. That's right.
It's totally anonymous. And, and you could only have 100 members in a chat. And of course we went over 100 in the first couple of months.
Yeah.
And it was just insane. There's ads. It's just really glitchy and bad. So then we created a website and our own network, and which is basically like a naughty Facebook. There ain't no limits on this network.
What's the network? Just give it out real quick. Give out the network real quick.
www.clubamore.net.
Right, .net. Mm-hmm. Go on.
And it's just taken off. So we've organized it. It's a legit business now. We pay taxes, and everything we make goes right back into the club. We've been able to keep it low cost, and I personally go around and make sure that nobody is sitting alone in a corner, because I remember how that felt. And I still feel as if I were to venture out to one of these parties, I still have that, that fear of talking to other people, believe it or not.
Right. But because you had that fear and you could see it in other people, and, you go over and empathize with them, which I think is great. And that's key. And that's probably really helpful to people that come to your parties, to sort of be made to feel comfortable.
The most consistent comment and piece of feedback that everyone tends to give is, I cannot believe how welcoming everybody was. I was never made to feel like I didn't belong. Everybody was so friendly. Everybody was so nice. I can't wait to come back. I found my tribe.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not just, it became so much bigger than just like, oh, we allow bi guys. I remember David really, like I said, being specific to say that, like, we accept everyone and anyone. What are like the other kinds of people that show up that didn't feel comfortable elsewhere that are comfortable in your club?
We definitely have the highest percentage of transgendered people.
Uh-huh.
We have gay men, we have lesbians, we have cross-dressers, we have, of course, all the kinksters. There's a lot of overlap with the FetLife crowd.
Yeah.
And then we have just people, newbies. Honestly, we have a really large percentage of newbies because we're so welcoming and everything. This is definitely the best starting point. If you're going to start out in the lifestyle, start out with Club Amore for sure.
Yeah, no, like I said, I got a lot of people emailing like, oh, I wish I lived in North Carolina. Did you get a lot of people? Like, do you get people, let me ask you this, do you get people traveling down just to go there because, they're maybe not in the area, but they want to check it out?
I think the furthest we've had people travel was Florida and then up to Virginia and Tennessee. So all through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. But honestly, since David was on your podcast,
Yeah.
and thank you so much for this, our
Yeah.
membership has grown tremendously.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Listen,
So now we're getting people from all over the country. We've got people in California, Minnesota. We've got one dude in Alaska.
yeah, I love that. I mean, I always talk about, and I say it on like my Butter Wellness ads and stuff. Like, I'm really on a mission to like, I hate the stigma for anything really, and the stigma for guy on guy action is so dumb. And I'm always talking to guys that are into guy on guy action and stuff that I'm always like looking to help sort of get rid of that because it's like about fucking time. It's like ridiculous that it still exists, especially because, a lot of people will be like, oh, I grew up in a time where there was a big stigma for girl on girl action, right? But we all remember there was a time like in the late 80s, right, where that sort of went away and it became cool to be with girls, if you were a girl. And then every girl was like, I have a girl crush, and every girl could raise her hand and say, I'm fucking into it. And it was like the coolest thing to be. But there was a time where it wasn't that way, right? And so everyone was in the closet about that too. And I just believe that like a lot of people think, oh, there's so many girls that are into girls and that's normal, but there's not many guys that are into guys. It's like, no, there's just as many guys that are into guys. Okay, they just can't do it because that sort of switch over hasn't happened yet. But like, why wouldn't there be just as many guys that are into guys as there are girls into girls? Look at the younger generation; they're all fucking bi. Okay, like all of them are pan, bi, open. I personally love the labels because I think they're super helpful for younger people to figure things out. When we were born and raised, like there was like two things you could be. And if you didn't fit in those boxes, you were a fucking weirdo, And now I think it's great that it's just so open. And I think the younger generation is very different. But like the older generation, like what the fuck's wrong with these people? Like, there's a lot of guys that are into guys, it just is.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're aiming to change. We're ready to take Club Amore to the next level.
Yeah.
We're looking for properties. We want to host more. We want to do, we do like podcasts and courses and everything. It's not just about house parties. There's so much more. And we're ready to take it to the next level. So I'm so excited. I will take anyone from any state, come join Amore. Who wants to start the California chapter?
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, you have to start franchising.
Let's do it.
You have to start.
Yeah.
I watch Shark Tank. Just take a model from them. You got to start franchising your business.
Who wants to invest? I'll talk to you right now. Who wants to invest? Hit us up.
Exactly. There's got to be a guy out there that likes to suck a dick every now and then that has a lot of cash that might help you out, that wants to do something in his place. Because I think that, the fact that, like I said, a lot of people were really interested in his club when he came on my show and they weren't like in the area. I'm like, oh, it's too bad that they don't have these all over, right? Because I believe there's obviously a need for it, but, no one's, I don't know. No one's like doing it. I'm surprised that you guys were like the only ones. Are there any other clubs out there like that you know of?
Honestly, not around here. I mean, there's a lot of LGBTQ clubs, but they're still not quite the same as us. Like we're kind of in a category all our own, really.
Yeah, that's why you're doing so well. That's why when you hit my airwaves, you got a lot of people because, like I said, I mean, I have people calling in all the time that are into that kind of things. And they, unfortunately, the stigma exists and they're in the lifestyle and they're all like sort of living a double life where that's the place where you're not supposed to be living a double life. It's ridiculous.
Oh, we want to change the world. We've got a plan. We got a 5-year plan. We got a 10-year plan. We got a lifetime plan. We're going to change the world.
Yeah, so explain to people like where they could go, the things that you offer, what to expect at one of your parties, like, do your thing.
Yeah, well, we've got a meet and greet scheduled for tomorrow, which we do a few times a year, and that's open to anybody in lifestyle. You don't have to be a member of Amore to attend stuff like that. It's a brewery takeover, it's $10 a person, real casual, just in the bar. So we do things like that for the lifestyle community as a whole. But then www.clubamore.net is where you'll really dive deep into the club, and there's different chats rooms that you can choose from. We have a ladies chat, we have a guys chat, there's different topic chats, and of course that's where all of our events are posted. So we throw monthly house parties at our house, and we have some other member houses that we also throw parties at throughout the year. And those are a little bit more, but it's only $30 a person.
Oh my God, it's so cheap.
The cheapest lifestyle party in the area.
Yeah.
You can get so much bang for your buck. But then on that site, we've got courses by a licensed sex therapist about ethical non-monogamy and all the issues that arise. We've got a BDSM course coming up. And then of course, we have podcasts too, where we interview members and get their stories and talk to them. And there's just so much more to this club than just, hey, here's a dick pic.
Right, exactly. And all they got to do is go to clubamore.net. And do they have to sign up, sign in? Is there a membership fee to get in? Like, how does it work?
Yes, each member of a couple has to sign up, or a single. We don't allow shared profiles. You do get a 14-day free trial. And then after that, you can choose between $5 a month or $45 a year.
Right. Oh, that's a good deal. $45 a year,
yeah,
that's nothing.
It's so affordable.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
so affordable.
Yeah, that's nothing. And so to walk me through a typical party. I mean, is 50 the max amount of people that show up at your guys' parties?
We book between 50, 55 in the summer, maybe up to 65, because a lot of people are outside.
Uh-huh.
And I always have a wait list, especially for the single guys. We generally allow, 15% of that number to be single guys or so. So, like 8 to 10 single guys.
Yeah.
So it's a good ratio. We start off the night, everyone brings food. It's a potluck. You're milling around, talking to people, introducing yourself, having a few drinks. If it's a pool party, everyone's outside in the pool. And then I start games. We play a lot of games. We play dirty Jenga. I do trivia questions. We do giveaway because we have a lot of merch for sale. So we'll give away some prizes. And it's a great time. And generally when the sun goes down, people start disappearing inside. Maybe they're playing. We have a hospitality room that's got there's no expectation of privacy in there. So there's always some action going on in there. But the rest of the people are still just hanging out, talking, and it's just a great time.
Now, I always ask people that run parties, like, do you get to play? Because sometimes it's like hard to do both, right? Host and play. Do you get to play at your parties, or do you guys play like outside of your parties?
It's only been recently that we've been able to relax enough to have more fun at our own parties. We found some of our members have stepped up to kind of help host throughout the night. So I'm not the only one who has to go around giving tours and picking up trash and making sure everybody's good. So our members have really stepped up to help us.
Uh-huh.
And that has definitely helped David and I to have more fun at our own parties. But we still have dates, when we can,
Yeah, and do you still currently see that one couple that you really got along with and hit it off, or do you who's in your roster right now as far as people that you hook up with?
We've got a few couples in our orbit, one that is taking up more space, and we like it that way. We haven't, we don't see each other very often. We both have families with children and all of that. So, the scheduling can be a problem, but we like where we're at. It's a good balance of our vanilla life and our lifestyle life. I do have to be a mom sometimes.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my last question because, when we first started to tape, I asked you, what fake name you want to use. You're like, no, I'm using Heather. That's my name. I don't have to change your voice. This is like your fucking voice. This is who you are. You're obviously out and proud on my show. Are you out and proud in your vanilla life, or do most people not know and you're just not afraid if people find out? I mean, how do you roll when it comes to what you do in that area of your life compared to your vanilla life?
I'm becoming more candid with people, new people I meet and stuff. If I become friends with them, I'm not shy about it.
Yeah.
My family and maybe people back home or where I'm from, maybe they don't know, but at the same time, if they found out, I think I'd be okay with it because I'm really not ashamed of any part of it, and I will defend it every single day. So, I think they'll be okay. Everyone's going to survive this. It's okay.
Listen, wouldn't it be more like you'd be more, to me, I'd be more judgy of someone that's like a serial cheater and doing all that things behind someone's back than, having consensual, fun fucking sex with their partner right there with them having a great time. You know what I mean? What's worse? If you ask me, serial cheating's
that's what
worse.
I'm ashamed of.
Yeah, that's what I
that's what I'm
mean. Yeah.
ashamed of, not
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. People would judge probably people more sometimes, it's like the opposite, which is so dumb because like you shouldn't what's to be shameful about this? A lot of times like people say really dumb things, like especially when I used to have a YouTube channel, people would make comments like, "Oh, would these people tell their family like what they did at that swinger party?" I'm like, "No, but most people don't tell their family what they did the night before." You know what I mean? Not even vanilla people are like,
Right?
"Hey mom, I fucked my guy like doggy style last night. It was so fucking hot." Like nobody's talking about sex with people that much anyway. So why should these people, just because it's something crazy, like they have to cop to it? It's still your own private, like it's your intimate life, whether it's with 50 people or one people, it's your fucking business.
My go-to response to the nosy rosies who just want to know, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you first. Tell
Yeah.
me about your sex life, and I'll tell you about mine.
Exactly.
It's like you don't have to understand. You just have to accept.
Yeah, exactly. And and if you don't want to talk about yours, why do you expect me to talk about mine? And it's
Exactly.
yeah.
And I love talking about it, honestly. So if you really want to know, here we go.
Oh my God. Yeah, no,
Strap in.
you were fun to talk to. Let me tell you, you are the more chatty one. Okay. Out of the couple, it's hilarious. You said some one-liners here that were really funny, but listen, thank you so much for calling in. I'm so glad that I got your side of it because it's like a totally different experience, and that's why I always like to do couples separately, because I feel like, getting your whole story, even the story about the club being open to buy guys from the woman's perspective is so super interesting, So thanks so much for calling in. It's clubamore.net. It's a great community. I love that you guys do this. So that's why I was like, oh, I'd love to have you on to promote it even more. I hope you get more people signing up. I will put the link to the your website in the description, and send me some pics, okay, for my Patreon and for my Discord, and I'll give you free access to my Patreon and my Discord too, okay?
Absolutely. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for coming on and giving me a great episode, Heather. This was fun. Thanks so much for calling in, and get me your pictures ASAP, okay?
Will do, definitely.
All right, awesome. Bye, Heather.
Bye.
Okay, good news. I do have a book out. I wrote a book and it's coming out. The book is called Strictly Anonymous Confessions, Secret Sex Lives of Total Strangers. What I did was I picked out the 17 best episodes. That was very hard to do, okay? I picked like one from each category, and I retold the story from the third person. So it's not interview style. It's a little bit more erotica. The only place where I took creative liberty was in the sex scene. So it's even hotter than my episodes. Like I said, it's told in the third person, and they're all true, just like my show. I mean, these are real stories from my show, just written out, like I said, in the third person, not an interview style, more like a story, but a true story, a true super hot story. Now, listen, it is available for pre-order now, and it's not coming out till October 14th. And I was like, oh my God, that's a long time away. So I figured I'd incentivize people. If you want to pre-order it now, I will give you free access to my Discord if you pre-order it now. All you got to do is screenshot a pic of the receipt. Just screenshot it to me. Send it to strictlyanonymouspodcast@gmail.com, and then I will send you the link to my Discord. So that's a little incentive to pick it up now. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Simon & Schuster. The link is in the description, so make sure to click on it. And if you get it, send me the pic of you purchasing, and I'll give you free access to my private Discord that is a totally naughty, super hot community with a lot of people, over 2,500 people over there having fun. Remember, email me the pic at strictlyanonymouspodcast@gmail.com.
This is the Strictly Anonymous Podcast.